broadcasters. Welcome to episode 270 of the StreamYard Live Town Hall. My name's Geige. I'm here with Dan, of course. Dan, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm doing well as well. It's been a good week. Excited to be here with all of you. For anyone new here, Dan and I are the founders of StreamYard, and we do these town halls every single Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific, and we do them for a few reasons. One is to stay in tune with all of you guys, go through the same flow that you all do with your own shows and productions. Two is to answer any of your questions. That's why we're calling it Ask StreamYard. So if there's anything you'd like us to touch on tonight, feel free to leave it in the chat. We'll do our best to get to as many as we possibly can. And three, I always mention the three pillars of StreamYard, which are ease of use, stability, and professional stream. So if you're about those three things, StreamYard is the tool for you. See folks tuning in from all over the world tonight. I see we have Puerto Vallarta. That's a new one. Nice to have you here. Before I forget, we have some awesome shows on StreamYard. We have YouTube channel reviews with Dee and Daniel the second Saturday of every month. Really fun show if you're looking to grow on YouTube. They do deep dives on individual channels and are super helpful for thinking about things like thumbnails, analytics, etc. And then specifically for live streaming tips, we have Enhance Your Live Streams the last Tuesday of the month with Nick Nimmin, who again is a pro when it comes to all things video. And there's all kinds of other awesome shows happening on the social channel. So make sure you check out everything on our YouTube feed. One thing we've been doing at the start of these so that we get to know a little bit more about you and you get to know a little bit more about us is a fun fact. And the fun fact tonight was, do you have a favorite action movie in particular? Do you have a favorite one, Dan?
It's tough to narrow those down. I don't know if you would call this an action movie. Someone's probably going to get mad at me in the chat. But I would say Saving Private Ryan is my favorite action movie. There's definitely a lot of action. I just don't know if it's officially classified as an action movie or a war movie or something. But big fan of that one. How about you?
Yeah, I was also struggling a little bit with the technical definition of an action movie, so I don't know if mine would classify either. But you actually mentioned it. I forgot how great of a movie it is, and that's the Matrix. The Matrix is a really good one. I like the Matrix.
Cool.
All right. We do have one small announcement tonight. We also have a special guest as well, so that'll be fun. But let's do a couple questions first. Let's see what we had here. Alaska says, while playing a video, are we able to have it not take up the whole screen? Just wondering. Absolutely, Alaska. So there's various ways that you can share a video. If you're playing a video clip, that's generally the one folks will use to take up the entire screen. But if you want to basically like present something and do commentary over it, if you use the present button, there's a few different options there for how you can share a video. So you can share something directly from your computer, and that's a great way to be able to sort of scrub through it and talk about the video.
Cool.
All right, Flames Nation, I see your question there around sharing and having some issues. I would reach out to support. If you just go to streamyard.com/contact, they should be able to help you more. My best guess is that maybe it's something with like graphics card or something like that, but they can troubleshoot with you and get a better sense of what might be going on.
Also, because I think they mentioned it's a video file. If it's a massive video file, it could just be your browser basically trying to understand that video file could take a little while. So it might just be the nature of the file. I'm curious if you use a smaller file, if it's okay. But yeah, feel free to reach out to support. They might be able to help.
All right, let's see here. Euronurse says, is it possible to have a shortcut to advance through overlays? Do you want to take that one, Dan?
Yeah, not right now. So there's no hotkeys at the moment for overlays. We'd like to add a number of hotkeys for overlays. I don't know when that will come, but it is on our list. It is something we're aware of. So hopefully relatively soon.
John Lacey says, are there any plans for dark mode? Yes, that is a popular one, John, that's come up a lot. It is in the works, so dark mode is coming. All right, maybe let's do one or two more here and then make sure we have time for some of the announcements. Vacay JTV says, when will you accept MOV formats for Mac and iOS? So I don't have a specific date for you, Vacay J, but we definitely want to support additional formats so that we can do things like transparent video overlays with like alpha channels and whatnot. So that is something that we'd like to add.
Yep.
All right, we'll get back to questions in a second here, but yeah, let's jump into some of the announcements. So it is a smaller one, but it was commonly requested. So the change here is on-air calendar duration. So previously, when you were to schedule an on-air, it was sort of default to an hour and you couldn't really change it. Now it's a pretty minimal feature, but it is an important one. So now you can actually select the time. So if you want to schedule it for 30 minutes or 3 hours, you can actually do that. And then the calendar invite that goes out will take up that slot appropriately.
Yep. It's just part of the creation modal now when you're creating an on-air webinar, just an extra field next to the start time that allows you to set the duration. And like Geige mentioned, the only thing it affects is the calendar duration for people that might save it to their calendars after they've registered. That's the only thing it actually does. Like you can still, if you set it to an hour and you end up going live for 3 hours or 10 minutes, doesn't matter. It only affects the calendar duration for people registering.
Awesome. The other recent one, in case you missed it, is we did recently make some transcription improvements. So now if you're a Portuguese user or a Spanish user, those languages have been added for transcriptions. And then you want to talk about the other part briefly, Dan?
Yeah, it's always a little trickier to explain, but the transcriptions are basically more accurate in the sense that there's timestamps for each of the words instead of the sentences, which helps us in our editor. So if you've ever been in the StreamYard editor where you actually want to take a recording and edit it, maybe cut out a 60-second chunk, it's just easier to find content now because you click on a specific word and it will take you to that exact spot in the transcript, whereas before you could only click on a sentence and it would take you to that sentence. So basically more accurate transcriptions, both for downloading transcriptions and then also in the editor.
Awesome, EBM scholars. Glad that On Air is working well for you. Super happy to hear that.
Cool.
And then other just quick ones in case you missed it. There were a bunch of additions to On Air over the last few weeks. One was the ability to actually bring viewers in. So the viewer invite option. So if you're hosting an On Air webinar, you can quickly bring someone from the audience in. The ability to pin comments, and then obviously private registration. And one thing to just quickly note. I know there's been a ton of recent on-air additions, but we do have some other really exciting stuff coming to the studio soon. So stay tuned on that. And on that, I guess kind of note here, I guess the request could be for any part of the product. But one thing we wanted to ask that we haven't asked for a while is if you had to pick, we usually ask this every few months, if you had to pick a single thing that would be the number one thing you'd like to see added to StreamYard. Curious at this point with some of the new additions we've made, what that is, whether it's something for the studio or something else. We'd be super curious what sort of the priority is for you guys. All right, let's do a couple more questions here. Luke says, how long does it take from a new idea to testing and then implementation? Just curious what your flow is. That's a good question, Luke John. It varies a ton based on what the idea is. So some features are, require a huge cross-functional effort with many teams, and others, could be done in a day, right? So I think it really just depends. But you might be better to answer or you probably are better to answer the question, Dan. So if you have a different take, feel free.
Yeah, it is so variable. It could be anywhere from less than an hour to many, many months for very large features, just depending on like how much engineering work is involved, how much design and product decisions we have to make, or how much we have to change the existing product to do it. So yeah, it really depends on all kinds of different factors, as you might imagine. We can maybe do like a behind the scenes type thing, just showing more information about what the process is. It wouldn't necessarily be too much around the time, but more so just like, what does that actually look like? So let me know if that'd be interesting for anyone.
Absolutely. Britt said, did you mean you can invite people in on video if you are live and wanted to invite them up, or were you referring to something different? Yes, Britt. So specifically with On Air, like the reason we're able to do this is because On Air is sort of directly part of StreamYard. We're able to have it where you can actually directly basically click someone in the comments of the chat and prompt them to join you on screen for the webinar. But yeah, you're describing it correctly. John says, does the giveaway tool work the same for on-air viewers as traditional streaming destinations? I believe it does, right, Dan?
Yes. Yep.
John says, we're planning to stream a full day event using On Air. Is there a way to schedule various segments within the day? For example, we have panel planned and would like to send guest invites to just that segment. Yeah, that's a good question, John. So there's a few ways you could go about it. So one way I've seen folks do it is they do just schedule it as one event that everyone registers, and they basically just have various segments within that webinar. The other way to do it would just be to create multiple webinars. So like make a basically an on-air event for every segment, and then people could register for the ones that they're interested in. But at this time, we don't really have the concept of exactly what you're talking about, where it's like, hey, this is like, I don't know how to describe it properly, where you could basically have, those are the two options right now. We have talked briefly about like, hey, is there a way that we could have the ability to make it where we could support something where there's an event and the concept of segments, but so far those are sort of the two ways that people approach it.
Yep. Yeah, and you can even do things where maybe the very first one, whatever happens first, is the link you send out first, and it has the users maybe have to register on air, and then the future ones you do later in the day, maybe you don't require registration because then you only send the link out after people have attended the first one. There's a few different ways to do it, kind of depending on whether you want people to register or if it's more of a public event. That can kind of affect how you actually want to do it. Because like if it's completely public, you could just send all the links right at the start, like 7 a.m., here's your link, 9 a.m., here's your link. It just gets tricky if you need them to register for each one.
Quinn says, did the option to redo a record only without leaving the broadcast studio get taken away? No, you should be able to redo the recording. There's no changes there, right, Dan?
So you can pause and restart. Yeah, if that's what you mean. That should still be there. So if it doesn't work when you're streaming, but when you're recording, you should be able to do that. And we're adding.
Nothing was taken away, right? Like it's worked the same way. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be there. I can check after. We are rolling out changes in that area, so it's possible maybe it was taken away temporarily. It shouldn't be though. Like if that's an issue. Yeah, we shouldn't be getting rid of that.
Yep. Let's see here. I saw one from Marianne says, I had a recent on air, but didn't realize I had no more storage, so it didn't record. The replay is accessible though. If the replay is accessible, Marianne, you should technically still be able to download it. If you go to support, they should be able to help you figure that out. But yeah, if you're able to watch the replay, it should technically be stored. Let's see here. Mitch on the mic says, have you thought about frames for each screen? I'd be curious to learn a little bit more what you mean by that, Mitch. Like we have the ability to do transparent overlays, so there's definitely people that sort of create frames for their custom layouts or whatever they're doing. But if you mean something else, let me know.
Yeah, do you maybe mean the ability to have like an overlay attached to each layout or something like that? Just guessing though.
All right, let's see here. Paulo says, is there any chance we will have the option to change fonts in the brand section in the future? Do you want to take that one, Dan?
Yes, we don't have that right now. That is something we have on our business plan at the moment. I'd be open to maybe adding that. I'd also be curious if there's any other, if there's any other features related just to brand customization that you really want, like more color customization or anything like that. It's always helpful to know about that.
Absolutely. Jay says, could you implement a floating window so you can have more control over the program window? Yeah, that's a good question, Jay. And it's definitely one that's come up. Basically, yeah, like the ability to do things like pop out comments or pop out the brand section. It's certainly something we're open to. Like we want to give folks flexibility to make it easier on them if they maybe want to have two things open at once. So definitely something that we're open to. EBM Scholar says, when will we be able to have transcript for longer videos, not just for 60-second reels/shorts? We want to have something, we want sometimes to have longer vertical videos.
Cool. Good to know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure when we'll do that. I imagine we will do that at some point. I just don't know exactly when. You obviously, or maybe not obviously, you can do longer trims for landscape, just not portrait at the moment. But yeah, I don't know why we wouldn't support that. So hopefully soon.
I think this is the number one feature request answer for EBM Scholar. Says to have webinar registrations where people pay. That's the feature that we're waiting for. I'm curious, EBM Scholars, I assume you just want to use a payment solution that's just like integrated directly into StreamYard, or do you have your own sort of payment solution that you'd want StreamYard to integrate with? I would be curious to know.
Yep.
Let's see what else we had here. Let's do a couple more. I want to make sure we have plenty of time for our guests for tonight. St. Louis says, is there any easy way to flip between cameras, front and back? So we definitely have got, or sorry, go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to say our mobile app, which is only out for guests at the moment, has a feature that makes that easier than it is now. At the moment, there's a couple steps, as you're probably familiar with. I assume you're talking about your phone camera. It is like you have to go into settings, you have to change the camera. We know it's more steps than you'd like it to be. So we will likely add that not just to the native app, but probably to the browser at some point as well. But yeah, it will be, well, it already is in our native app, but the native app only for the guest experience right now. So once we have it for the host experience, you'll also get that.
Awesome. I think this is Chris's feature list. Priorities for Chris. Number 1, polls in real time. 2, sound effects. 3, invite at least 15 to 20 guests to host classes under the current plan. Currently use Zoom for this feature. And then 4, trending audio for repurposing. Yeah, trending audio is an interesting one. I haven't heard that one too many times. But thanks, Chris. That's super helpful.
Cool.
David, I see your question about green screen. Sorry to hear you're having issues with it. Yeah, your question if there's been upgrades to it. Yeah, there definitely has been lots and lots of upgrades to both the virtual green screen and the one that leverages like the folks that want to use a physical green screen. But if you are having issues, yeah, I would check in with support because yeah, there's lots of folks using it. Any thoughts on that one, Dan?
I didn't see the message, but there was also, and we talked about it last week, I believe, there's a recent issue with Chrome, specifically with local recording in combination with virtual backgrounds or touch up. Basically, there's just like this Chrome bug that we kind of were able to work around it a little bit, or at least make it less likely to happen, but it could crash Chrome essentially. So we reported it to the Chrome team and they were working on it for a while, and that was fixed last week, midweek. So as long as you're on the newest version of Chrome, that should work fine. And we do have like a message in the studio and everything that tells you to upgrade Chrome. So if you don't get the message, then you're good. If you do get the message, I wouldn't use virtual backgrounds unless you upgrade Chrome first. If you have local recording on, if you don't have local recording on, it doesn't matter. But if it's related to that, Chrome has fixed that one, and you just need to update Chrome now.
Awesome. Jamel says setting on air to 1 hour doesn't mean it will cut off if we go over. Will it? No, Jamel. That 1 hour is the 1 hour setting is purely so your guests or your attendees know that it's going to be an hour-long event. But if you want to go longer, you absolutely can go longer.
Yeah, longer, shorter. All it does is affect the calendar invite.
LTMW says custom stinger transitions with transparency would be a great new feature. Appreciate the suggestion, NLTMW.
Cool.
Anna says, appreciate you guys taking Sundays to meet with us. Of course, Anna, we really appreciate you guys spending the time with us and giving us the feedback. It's really, really helpful for us. Cool. Let's maybe do 1 or 2 more here, and then we'll bring on our guest for tonight. Katrine says, is there a way to upload assets once and make available for all brand studios? Do you want to take that one, Dan?
So that is how it works in the brand tab now. It depends what type of assets I guess you're referring to. So if you're in the brand tab and you upload a picture, like an overlay or a background or a video clip, those are just there permanently. The only ones that aren't are the ones at the bottom of the screen when you, for example, share like a screen or a video file from the bottom of the screen. Those ones don't stick around, although the slides, we at least save them to your account. So if you share slides, you come back later, you can just, they basically uploaded the slides, you can use them again. We purposely don't upload the video when you do that, just because you might be sharing like a 10 gigabyte video and it could take you hours to upload that. So we don't upload videos at the bottom, and you will have to reshare those. But anything in the brand tab will be around. Hopefully that answers it.
Cool. With that, let's go ahead and bring our guest on for tonight. We have Dylan from the engineering team. Nice to have you here tonight, Dylan.
Hey, everyone. Thanks, Geige Dan. It's great to be here.
Cool. Thanks for joining. So for anyone who's never seen basically this segment of the town hall show, we love to bring on team members from StreamYard just so all of you can get a chance to meet some of the people behind StreamYard, besides just Geige and I all the time. So like Geige said, we've got Dylan from the engineering team. I've got a whole bunch of questions to help you all get a chance to meet Dylan. But if you have any questions for him, feel free to ask in the chat. Cool. Dylan, first question for you. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and what you do at StreamYard?
Sure can. Where to start? I'm a big hockey fan. Still actively playing to this day. I'm getting older though, but I still play competitive hockey. What I'm currently doing at StreamYard, I'm part of the Destinations team. So what that means is basically any of the platforms that you want to connect and be able to interact with on StreamYard. That's what our team is in charge of maintaining, building, and doing all that fun stuff. So things from your chat to just being able to go ahead and connect your Facebook pages, groups, YouTube channels. That's our team.
Cool. Yeah, so anyone who uses the chat basically on StreamYard or streams to anyone who live streams on StreamYard is definitely impacted by all the work you're doing. And where are you located, Dylan?
I am in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. Originally from Alberta, but military brought me out here, and this is where I wound up settling down with my family.
Cool. And then how long have you been at StreamYard now?
I think 4.5 months now. It's been a wild ride so far. I'm loving it.
Cool. And do you have a favorite StreamYard feature?
For me, it's probably going to be the chat. I really do enjoy like how it integrates and brings all your platforms that we're able to support together. So that way the creators can go ahead and interact with their viewers and be able to go ahead and answer any questions or just get the feedback and stuff from all the different platforms they're interacting with.
Cool.
So cool things coming up for it. So I'm excited.
That we do. Yeah, we've got a few features coming from your team. All right. What did you want to be when you were younger? Hockey player? That's my guess.
Yeah. NHL player is the first one. Fallback was a crime scene investigator because when I was a kid, I was obsessed with CSI.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, you and me both in terms of wanting to be a hockey player. And then how did you end up becoming an engineer and ultimately an engineering manager?
It all started when I was probably about 14 years old. I kind of got into programming. I started with modding some games, building websites for the games I liked, kind of building communities around that, starting forums and things like that. And then from there, kind of just started freelance working and building up some experience. And then wound up just being starting on my own little company with a couple of my friends. We got acquired and then got my foot fully in the door, and then the rest has been history from here.
Cool.
And then, yeah, just got into the people side of things with engineering because I really do like building teams, working with everyone, and kind of driving together and kind of building and releasing new features for the customers and clients.
Cool. Awesome. What would you say is your favorite thing so far about working at StreamYard?
A lot of things, really. For me, it's the people. I get to work with a lot of very smart people at StreamYard. And it's been quite an experience getting to work through their experiences and get the feedback on that, as well as share my experiences. And it's been pretty fulfilling so far. I've been really enjoying it.
Cool. How would you answer our fun fact question? I don't know if you had time to think about it backstage. What's your favorite action movie?
Well, I think this one's also defined as a Christmas movie. It'd be the Die Hard, the first one.
Okay.
1988, cool. Bruce Willis. Yeah, just I'm a big Bruce Willis fan.
Cool. I saw a few of those in the chat as well. I've always loved how that's technically a Christmas movie.
Cool. It's debatable for some people, but
yeah. And do you have a favorite karaoke song?
Oof. I would probably have to go with Anything by Shania Twain, really.
Okay.
Shania Twain.
Cool. And do you have a favorite board game?
Probably Settlers of Catan.
Cool.
I enjoy the strategy around that.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you, Dylan. That's all my questions. And like I said, if there's anyone else has any questions for Dylan, feel free to ask away in the chat.
Absolutely. We did have a question from Flames Nation, which may be an expected question. Flames Nation is curious if you're a Flames fan.
Unfortunately not. I am an Oilers fan through and through. I bleed copper.
Cool. 50-50 chance, I guess,
yeah.
being born in Alberta. Cool.
Right on. Cool. We can run through some more questions here, but should we go ahead and start queuing up the giveaway for tonight, Dan? While we get to some more of these.
Let's do it.
All right. Let's see what else we had here. Awesome, Britt. That's so nice of you to say. Glad that you had value, that you found value in it. Finanza says, question, I want to take phone calls in my podcast that I do live. Is this a possibility, or is there a preferred app that I could adapt? Yeah, that's a good question, Finanza. So One of the popular ways that I see folks doing it is they'll often use an audio interface. So something like a Rodecaster, which actually has the ability to plug a cell phone directly into the Rodecaster. And then your Rodecaster is your audio input into StreamYard. And that's a pretty easy way to go about doing that, where you can just have folks call into that cell number and call into the show that way. If you want to go the software route, there's a bunch of different options there. Some folks end up just doing it with Google Voice and using sort of on Mac, it's called Loopback. You can make like a sort of a virtual audio device. If you go to our support docs, I think there's some good information there that walks you through the different options. All right. I think most folks are familiar, but if you're not, we always do a giveaway towards the end of these streams. And to be eligible, all you have to do is type in hashtag the yard. And tonight we'll give away a StreamYard hoodie and a StreamYard duck. And if you're ever keen on running a giveaway like this yourself, we actually made this tool available at StreamYard.com/giveaway. And there's a video walking you through exactly how to use it. And you can do exactly what we're doing now. You can even choose your own keyword and share your screen there. So I will give you maybe 10 seconds or so to get in your hashtag the yards.
Cool.
Question here from Albert says, can SY transcriptions create timestamps or key timestamps that we can use with AI to automatically update a YT description? You want to take that one, Dan?
Yeah, hold up. I'm still understanding it. Okay, I think I understand it. We're definitely, just as a general overview, I guess, we're very open to just adding more transcription-related features in the future and more repurposing-related features in the future. So I don't know for sure if that will be part of it, but it's possible. There's just going to be a lot of things coming in general. This should hopefully help you with, I mean, all kinds of different things. And this, like helping with a YouTube description could maybe be part of that. I don't know for sure yet, but quite possible.
All right. As the number,
it's not like that specific feature is not on our roadmap right this second or anything, though.
Ready to go? Run it? Yeah, let's do it. Good
Cool.
luck. Consult the Blind Guy. You've been a long time viewer. Thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight, and congrats on your brand new StreamYard hoodie and your StreamYard duck. If you could send an email to contact@StreamYard.com, the team can work with you to get that shipped over. But yeah, awesome to see you win. That's fantastic.
Cool. Yeah, I love when long-time viewers win.
Yeah, that is awesome. All right. And with that, this was episode 270 of the StreamYard Live Town Hall. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. And thanks, Dylan, for being on tonight. It's always a pleasure getting the chance to be here with you and answer your questions. We'll be here next week at the same time, Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.